So this is Masterclass 10, attack orders. So a couple attack orders that's important to keep in mind when you're playing, especially depending on whatever you're going up against. Let's say you're going up against, like this yellow, these types of cards you will see, Flame Nimbus, the Mouse with Sacred Disbelief. So these have useful effects that can alter, control how many attacks you could do on your turn. So it's important to know what they do and then try to outplay them, because you want to get the most attacks out of your turn as much as possible, even if your opponent has these types of cards. So for example, with the Flying Nimbus situation, you'll want to swing with a battle card first, because if they do use Flying Nimbus on that attack, for example, you still have the ability to attack with a battle card afterwards, and this only affects battle cards, so it doesn't affect leaders or unison. So you want to take advantage of that. So attack with a battle card. If they Nimbus, then you still can attack with another battle card, then swing with the leader. Usually leaders have certain effects for when they attack, so you usually want to take advantage of that and get that before anything else, like drawing a card or something. And then unison swing should be your last swing. Another reason for attacking with the leader first before unison, specifically, like for example in this Flying Nimbus scenario, would be because the leader would be weaker than the unison. Most unisons tend to be a 20k, so you always want to save your strongest attack for last, because of the combo power thing. So leader swing, then your unison swing. So battle card, leaders swing, unison. So battle card, leader, unison. So that's the first attack order you want to keep in mind. Another attack order, this has to do with damage and effects. As you can see, just using him as an example of something that has crit. So you always want to do crit damage before any type of damage. Crit damage is the best. Your opponent doesn't benefit from you doing crit damage, so you always want to do crit damage. If you could do crit damage, crit, double strike crit, even better, right? Because that's 2 damage and your opponent doesn't benefit from it. So crit damage always is the first type of damage you want to deal. Then you got double strike will come after that, because you definitely want to do double strike damage before any single strike damage, especially if the double strike damage is on a strong battle card, or on a strong card in general, like how Jiren is 20k, but if you activate his +1 ability, he'll be double strike, so it'll be 20k double strike. So being able to do double strike first before a single damage, is more preferred. And this is, when you're going for game, that's, again, point that out. It's for like when you're going for game, you want to, or you're trying to go for game, you want to deal the most damage as possible. So if you have double strike and a single strike, you want to double strike first. Hopefully that goes through, and if it does, great, you dealt 2 damage. Then you try to go for the single strike. If the single strike doesn't go through, you still dealt 2 damage. Now let's say the double strike doesn't go through. Well, that means more like your opponent out comboed, put a lot of resources to stopping that double strike, because that was the threat. And you still have the single strike to go through. So you still deal some damage, but at least you put your opponent in a problematic position. It'll be hard for them to clap back, as they say. So, double strike is definitely a threat. Most people don't fear single strike, but they do fear double, triple, and quadruple strike. So that's why you want to swing with that first double strike, and then come at them with something else. Bardic Resolute is a good double striker, because you can just go in with him right off the bat, and if your opponent plays a negate, well, they just wasted it because you're going to restand and attack again anyway. And then the other thing is if you swing and the attack goes through, that's great, and then you try to go for some single damage or some other type of damage, and if they negate that, you know, like I'm going for the final attack, negate, all right, cool, I restand them and go for double strike. So he's a pretty good double striker. And of course, you know, anything 15k and above is always good for attacking your opponent's leader to try to deal damage. So crit first, double strike, and then single strike. And then it would be in that order. So if you have all three of these on the field, for example, you will want to crit first. That way your opponent is not adding any cards to their hands, so that way they don't have too many cards in their hands to use to try to out combo, going for the double strike, you know, because you're trying to get some damage in there, a lot. Because if the last attack doesn't go through, at least you're dealt 2. So in this scenario, this would be 4 damage, but if they if they manage to you know, stop your last attack, well, at least you did 3. But if they stop your Bardock, for example, and then your single attack goes through because they put so much into stopping your double strike, this will go through, you at least dealt 2 damage in a 4 damage potential setup scenario. So it's just the fact that, you know, you're taking the crit to account. This is pretty much common sense. You always want to do crit damage before you do any damage. Another thing is your opponent normally doesn't try to stop you from dealing the first 4 damage in a duel. So when it's like single damage or even double strike damage, so you could take advantage of that. But afterwards, once you get them you always want to do critical. I mean, from beginning to end, right? But if you only have a couple crit cards in your deck, then you wanna use it sparingly. You definitely want to use crit close to the end of the match, because you don't want to, especially if you've been making your opponent like combo. You know, in case you what was I saying? In case you double strike. Alright, so you're trying to do crit to reduce how many cards. Oh yeah, you made them combo a lot, so their hands kept getting smaller. Got them to a point when they only got like maybe three or less cards in their hands. You don't want to then, you know, add more cards to their hand, especially if you're trying to go for game. So you want to crit, so that way they don't add anything to the hand, and then go for the, you know, for the kill shot, double strike. So the last thing you want to do is usually double strike or anything higher than that. You know, kill shot. You know, if your opponent has 2 life, double strike. If they have 3 life, then triple strike. If they have 4 life, quadruple strike. Right? You always want to do the one shot, one hit kill thing, right? So double strike tends to be. You can start the game off double striking, but you know, make sure your opponent doesn't benefit from it. But that's why it's usually better to crit at the beginning of the game and then go double strike at the end of the game. So just pointing that out. Zamasu, the thing with Zamasu is that of you know, your attack order, you want to take want to be specific your attack order, because Zamasu can rest a leader card or battle card. So you don't want to attack with your leader and then get Zamasu and then he taps your battle card. So that right there's 2 attacks wasted. So you rather be in a scenario where I'm gonna use this setup right here, where this attack order, which is you swing with the leader, and you didn't play anything yet, you didn't play no battle cards, so you swing with the leader. If there's a Zamasu, that's fine. Then you play your Unison or a battle card, whichever one. I'm just using Unison in this example, but it could be a battle card. Then swing with it. Right. Now, if they just so happen to have another Zamasu in their hand, it's a little irrelevant because your leader already swung. And then you go into an overwhelm, or a free play is what I'm trying to say, a free play. Or if you have the energy to play something else, or a unison, whatever. However way the situation goes, but usually you'll probably be in a situation where, like, let's say turn 3. So let's say with these exact cards, it's like, all right, well, turn 3, your opponent might have a Zamasu. You definitely don't want to play your unison, then swing with the unison. So let's use the unison as an example. And then your opponent Zamasu and taps down your leader. It's like, well, there's a wasted leader. So that's why you want to swing with the leader first, then play your unison or battle card, then swing with it. Because again, in this order, the Zamasu will still be useless. And then when you play a free player or overall, or just another battle card or a battle card in general, whatever, and then swing with it again. Since your leader's already tapped, any of your other battle cards already tapped, this will be pointless for its effect. For the 10k 0 cost, it still applies, right? That's still relevant, but at least you are outplaying the effect. And the whole idea of the attack orders is obviously to outplay these cards, because if you don't take these cards to account when when you're going to attack, these could definitely ruin your day. So if you attack in the wrong order, you'll be punished, and that's the whole point. That's why attack order is important. Most of this is common sense. Most of this is stuff you'll learn from experience. Most people already know, but if you don't know, now you know. You heard? Some honorable mentions would be like dormant potential, violent raise, and topo. Some tips for that. If you feel your opponent might topo you, you want them to use the topo on something, mundane, like a leader swing or maybe a unison swing, and have them topo that. Then play something strong, like a finisher or something, something you can end your opponent off, end your opponent with a single attack. So that's usually important, because sometimes somebody will be like, all right, I played my finisher, swing with my finisher, and they get topoed, and it's like, yeah, you swung your finisher, its attack's negated. Now you have all these other things you could try to attack with, but you might not have enough cards in your hands to afford the extra attacks, or you might not have enough attacks, or again, you might not have enough cards in your hands to be able to afford for every attack. That now you are in a bad situation. So you always want to save your best attack for last, when topo might be a possibility. Violent raise, it's almost pretty much the same thing. You always, with any type of negate, you always want to save your best attack for last. So you want to force, your opponent to negate. So you want to force their negates, is what they call it. Force their negates. You want to force their negates on something less important, and then go at your opponent with something more important. So that's another attack order thing to keep in mind. Always attack with your lowest attacker, and then your strongest attacker, whether it be actual attack power or just be abilities. Like you'll attack with your double strike before you attack with the triple strike, if you feel that a negate might be there. And it depends how you set it up, because usually your finisher should be like a surprise. Like your opponent shouldn't know that you have a finisher, because if you have something with double strike and something with quadruple strike, and your opponent only has one negate, they're going to save that one negate for the quadruple strike. Obviously, they're not going to waste it on the double strike, unless you make them think that your double strike is the best you got. Like your double strike is the only real threat at the current moment. That's why Cell Zeno is so good, because your opponent will attack you with everything they got, and you're like, all right, I'm stopping everything you got. Yeah, I survived. And then they'll be like, all right, Cell Zeno, like, god damn it, that's what I should save my defenses for, my blockers or whatever I got, or negates or whatever. I should have saved it for that. So this has two effects where your opponent can't attack with battle cards with a 20k power or more, or the second ability, your opponent can't attack with unison cards with 20k power or more. So stuff like that to you want to keep in mind. This is power base, like it relies on power 20k and above. So if you're using stuff less than that, weaker than that, like a whole bunch of 15ks and stuff like that, you can get under this card's ability. Things like that you want to keep in mind. For example, dormant potential has when it's used, it doesn't negate the attack. So if you attack and your opponent plays this, it doesn't negate that attack. So you obviously will want that attack to be a really strong attack, like a triple strike or something like that, or double strike, right? You want it to be a strong attack, something that would deal the most damage, because afterwards, after your opponent uses dormant potential ability by actually discarding a green card, then for the remainder of the turn you only get one extra attack. So you want to make sure that your first attack is relatively strong, because it has a higher chance of going through, even if it's not strong, even if it's just a leader swing. Go ahead, take advantage of it, right? Just let I tend to like double strike. I've been in scenarios where I will swing with my leader, get dormant potential, and then I'll just champa and get some double strike through. Especially if that's the most damage I feel that I'll get through, I might as well take advantage of that moment. But there's times where like, all right, well, after I champa, I still got one more attack, and I can just like overwhelm or something, go in for another double strike. And you're trying to deal as much damage as you can, even though your opponent's trying to prevent you from dealing a lot of damage. So that's where attack orders comes in, and that should be the end of the video.